Hi, my name is Mikayla, and today I'm going to be speaking a little bit about transition. I would say that many young adults probably have felt transition before in their lives. Most people have. It's something that is a little bit more constant than I think that we would like. When I went to college, instead of staying in California where my family is from, I opted to move all the way to the East Coast, and I went to school up in Vermont. And then COVID hit, and I finished out my studies in California at my parents' house, and then I moved back to the East Coast, this time to Virginia, to pursue a year of volunteer service after I graduated from college, and that was kind of run through a congregation of Catholic sisters, which was really cool, and I got to work at a Catholic school, which led to my first full-time job as a high school teacher. And so that was a lot of transition, like going from college to back home to a year of service to then staying on at that school and beginning a teaching career. And then in the midst of all of that, I met my partner, and he moved down to North Carolina for grad school. And so I moved down as well. And so these past few years post-college have just been, it feels like transition after transition after transition. And I sometimes feel like I can't even catch a break. But I do have to say that the more that it's happened, I would say the more resilient I've been able to become. And I think I've also learned that transition isn't all bad. There are definitely some downsides. There are definitely some things that hurt, right? We mourn the loss of the people that we will no longer be close to. I left some very dear friends in Virginia where I just was in order to move down here. And that definitely hurts. You know, you're starting over, right? You have kind of your group of people who you're walking alongside, and they're walking alongside you, and then you suddenly uproot yourself and start somewhere new. And that's just a really challenging thing for a lot of people. And I think that we don't always admit that often enough. And, you know, the millions of questions that run through your mind when you make a really big decision and decide to change careers or change where you live or change something about your identity. And it's like you kind of got to just jump in and try it. And that's terrifying a lot of the time, but I also think that it could be really powerful. When I was in college, I went to a Baptist church, and I had a pastor who would give sermons on liminality, or like liminal spaces, kind of the idea of like how Christians go through seasons in life, like some are harder and some are easier. And I really appreciated the way that she framed it in terms of liminality, because it felt like a very tangible word for something that, like, where things feel very intangible. Like you're like, I'm neither here nor there. What I've learned is that the liminal spaces are times where God is kind of trying to get our attention again. That's kind of what I've taken away from my transitional periods. We tend to get a little bit comfortable when we do the same thing for too long. And, our beliefs or our practices might fall a little bit by the wayside. And so kind of embracing a transitional period, it's like, what am I going to add here? What am I going to do differently? And I think for me, like I think I've tried to emphasize my faith a little bit more. So like kind of incorporating prayer more intentionally into my day, or trying to be more intentional about like how I'm connecting with people or volunteering in the community. All things that I feel like I'm re-energized to do because I'm like brand new in a city, and I'm like just getting my feet on the ground and figuring things out. And so that feels like a really awesome place to be, although it can be super terrifying at times. And so I think it's easy to kind of lament the liminal times and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should go to grad school. I don't know like if I should get a new job. I don't know if I should start a family. Like there's all of these decisions that we always have to make. And so I think for me, the one thing that I've been thinking about with transition is like embracing it and thinking about what I can learn from others and how I can walk alongside others in this time. My students speak life into me in ways that like some days leave me absolutely like awestruck. I'm just like, wow, I am so fortunate to be able to work with young people, and like the funny and silly and insightful things that they say, like I just they would never would have crossed my mind. And at the same time, like I get to be excited and cheer them on in all of their successes and the things that they get to do. And, and at the end of the school year, like that's another transition period. They move on to the next grade, and I get a whole new group of students. And so transition, instead of seeing it as something that's awful and terrible, I can choose to embrace it and learn as much as I can from the people who are in my life for the short time that I have them near me. And I think being able to rely on people in community and learn from people in community in that way is a really positive thing about transition.